I'm sorry to the people that said that I'm also lucky. I mean, I still stand by what I said. I consciously made a decision to only deal with good people in my life. Period. Period. And I have stories upon stories to tell about that. Given the way of the world, even if you're a good person, it is definitely scarce to run into another one. I don't care what you say. That's sweet. That's sweet that y'all optimistic, right? That's really sweet. But that's how you keep getting your ass rammed. You know what I mean? Story time. This weekend, Mr. made an adjustment to our cell phone service. So mine went through fine. There was no problem. But when he went to do his, when he got the SIM card in, stuff wasn't working. You know, he was on phone with a tech the whole day. So there's half your weekend, right? And then they told him, and he got level C. He did get people that tried to be helpful as well, but again, still level C. And when they transfer you to somebody that in their mind they're convinced can better help you, but that whole department is trained to pass out red tape, send you through the loop, to send you through hoops, honey. He did finally end with a guy that was very helpful that told him, well, you could go by the store and just pick up a SIM card and then call us back and we'll help you go through it. Well, like you know, he's been sick, right? And then he's been on the phone all day with all these people. So we go into the place. The supremacy energy was strong. Now, usually I'm the one that, you know, people feel like jumping to conclusions and what have you. But when I'm not alone, then I know the energy is factual. You know what I mean? I know it's factual anyway, because I'm a great judge of character. I'm an excellent judge of character. But so we walk in, and I want to keep him in a good frame of mind because he's already had to deal with these people on the phone. Now he got to come all the way out here. He shouldn't be in the weather. Oh, that's another thing. I told him, I was like, well, why don't I just, if it's all just picking up a SIM card, why don't I go for you? And I'll just bring it back. And he was like, I guess you could. But even as he thought about it, I was impressed that he thought about it. But he was like, no, he was like, I need to go because I don't want them giving you any trouble about your name not being on the phone. You know, because it was his phone. Mine is taken care of. And I said, okay. I was like, why don't you go and I'll chaperone you? Because he likes when I ride alone. And so I said, why don't you go and then I'll chaperone you? And he was like, no, it's fine. I could just go and then you go to the grocery store because he knew I was wanting to go to the grocery store. Hence me having to go today. And so I decided not to go to the grocery store at all and just chaperone him to the phone service store to get a SIM card. So anyway, we walk into this home and it wasn't a lot of people in there. As a matter of fact, it was probably at the most, it was less than 5 customers in there. And about, I say maybe 4 workers. There were more workers than customers. Let me put it like that. So we walk in. And as soon as you walk in, there's a guy at the table, at the front table, at the table by the front door, with his back to the door. He's kind of talking to someone across the table. I don't know if it's a customer or another worker. I assume it's a customer because if I knew for sure, I believe it was another worker, but I'm going to assume it was a customer because if it was another worker, then I just realized that would piss me off even further when you hear the story. So it was this guy, Italian-looking guy with his back to the door, talking to another person. I'm getting mad because I'm realizing that was another worker there. But anyway, there was a third worker. There was a third person that worked, a third employee at the end of the table, which is where we ended up coming. So we were between the guy at the end of the table and the Italian guy, and on the other side of the table was the person. So here's the Italian guy, and here's the back of my hand is the front of their faces. So the Italian guy is standing here, you know, talking to this person. And we walk up, and this guy on the end, the white guy, his name was Patrick. I'm going to tell you his name. I remember his name. The guy is he looks like some goofy white dude, right? So he's on the phone. I don't know if he's texting or he's trying to figure something out with the phone. It looks like he's actually working and trying to figure something out with the phone. So he has a phone or whatever. So we walk up, Mr. and I, and we just look at each other because nobody says anything to us. Now, granted, this guy is working on a phone or doing something. But Guido over here is talking to this person who I'm realizing was yet another employee, not addressing us whatsoever. So, Mr.'s like, do we need to go? Is there somewhere we need to go and make a request to get some assistance? Or what the fuck? He didn't say what the fuck. That's me adding my energy onto it. Because that's what I said at the end of it with my spirit. Was what the fuck. So he was like, so is anybody gonna, dress up, whatever, So the Italian guy turns around and leans on the table and says, what's going on? And so Mr. starts telling him what the issue is. And I can hear the tension in his voice because he's like, bitch, you could have just asked me. He said, well, this happened and this happened and this happened. And her phone's fine, mine, whatever. So they told me to come pick up a SIM card. So I'm just here to get a SIM card. So I knew that meant that y'all better literally just get this brother a SIM card and let him walk out of here. Because y'all done already set the stage for some unpleasant shit to go down. So he says, well, I don't think we can. And he got to that. Now, this guy that was on the phone, he had stopped. After, when Mr. was explaining the problem, he did like this. And he was looking at us. And so he was on the phone, and he heard us explaining to dude. And so he looked over at us. And he did. And he's like, did you such and such? He asked something. And he was like, come on, I'll take care of you. And so in that instant, I knew that this was a good human being. I knew Patrick was a good human being because Patrick sensed that energy of us coming in and not being tended to, not being addressed, not being attended to. And I'm the kind of person, I'd rather the staff don't say shit to me. Employees don't say shit to me when I walk through the door. I'm good with it. But if I need some assistance, assist me. You don't have to kiss my ass. You don't have to stand there and try to pretend to be my friend as long as I'm shopping. You could just aid me with specifically what I asked you to aid me with and press the fuck on. That's how I am. I don't need, like some people say, oh, they wasn't even courteous, to the customers that's come in. That will never be me. I don't need them to be courteous to me. But what you're not going to do is disrespect my dollar bill. You do what you need to do with your own comfort about my blackness. But my greenness in my pocket is what you're not going to disrespect, okay? So anyway, he was like, come on, So he starts walking toward the counter. And we follow him toward the counter, and I'm loving him. Every step we walking behind him, I'm loving him. And the reason why I'm loving him is because we came in all bundled up. Mr. had on a hoodie, a black hoodie, and a beanie cap. Had the hoodie on, so he looked like what colonizers would assume is a thug. And Patrick looked at us, and he didn't see none of that. He didn't see, I don't mean he didn't see color per se, but he didn't see that. He looked at us and saw two customers that have a simple issue. And matter of fact, when I looked at Patrick, he reminded me of Mr., how Mr. would handle business at work. Because he's customer first. Let's take care of these customers. Like you trying to do all this slick shit, take care of the customer. You know what I mean? And do it respectfully. We go down to the counter. And at the counter, I say to Patrick, and Mr's still mad and steaming and what have you, because he don't recognize what I've already recognized in Patrick. So he asked Mr. a couple of questions, because he's mad now at this point. He's like, look, they told me that I could come and get a SIM card. If I can't get a SIM card, let me know, because I need to leave and figure out something else then. And so the guy's like, well, he's like, well, let me, so he took it, and he was like, maybe I could. So he was convinced that I could tell that he has solved problems, and he's like Mr., he's a problem solver. So he figured he might be able to take care of it. And he was like, I don't want you to mess anything up. And he was like, oh, he's like, I should be able to fix it, whatever. And he wasn't even letting Mr's anger sway his energy. He was still professional and friendly, but not overly so. And to be all in your business and trying to give you all this fake chit-chat like you give a fuck. He didn't give us none of that. But he was looking to solve this. He was focused on solving this problem. And I respect that, because to me, that's what business is. Mr., did all his little snack back. Patrick was unfazed by Mr's snapback voice. And he was like, well, such. He was like, I don't think we can give the SIM card out. So he was basically telling Mr. he has to at least, put it in there and act like he's fixing it or whatever. Even though normally he seemed like he probably thought he should be able to fix it. So anyway, he calls the manager over. Patrick calls the manager over. Because I'm sure it has to go through him before they can, give us a SIM card. So the manager came over. The manager was on the same bullshit that everybody else was on. Everybody except Patrick. And so I could see in Patrick's eyes, Patrick still wanted to help us. He wanted this to be solved for the customer, whoever the customer is. And so this manager, bottom line, he dealt with us the same way. So, of course, Mr. was already irritable. And he snap. And so I'm looking. And I don't like that he's doing this to Patrick. I don't like that Patrick gets the brunt of this, because Patrick is the only one who didn't have a fucking attitude. So when Mr. got fed up with the manager, he basically went off. He wasn't belligerent, but he went off and he told them about themselves. And I was sitting there like this. And he knew how I felt, because as soon as we left, he basically apologized for, quote unquote, embarrassing me. But he could never embarrass me. But anyway, I know what he meant. And he embarrassed me in that way. But the reason why I didn't say anything while he was doing it, or tell him, normally I would put my hand on his shoulder or on his back and tell him to calm down or something. Not calm down. I can't even say usually, because y'all know he's soft-spirited. He ain't, he's a reserved soul. But normally I would put my hand on it, touch him, and give him some peace, encourage him to take his stress level down. But I didn't do that. And the reason why I didn't do that is because everything he said, of course, was accurate. And it was applicable to every motherfucker in there except Patrick. So what I really wanted to say was, no, you didn't say anything wrong. I was like, the only problem I have with what he said is that Patrick doesn't deserve this. Everybody else earned it. Short story long, like I just made it. The manager was saying that they can't just give us a SIM card. But I could see Patrick conniving a way to make sure we walk out of there with a SIM card, right? So the manager is telling him, well, we can't just give a SIM card. And he's like, well, I'm telling you what the person told me. So when the manager responds, Patrick says, he interrupts him real quick. Slick. I love that white boy. Patrick said, he's like, I'm going to go get the SIM card. I'll be right back. This was after the manager is telling us that they can't just give us a SIM card. He said, I'll go get it. I'll be right back. He should be the manager. Patrick should be the manager, is what I'm saying. So he comes back with the SIM card, and he proceeds to put it in Mr.'s phone and starts doing some little doody-woody-woody-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Can't fix it, and doesn't know why. I can tell it aggravates him because he's a problem solver, and it would aggravate Mr. in the same way. And so it wasn't directed at us. I mean, it didn't feel directed at us. We could tell he was genuinely making the effort. So he gives Mr. the phone or whatever. And so Mr. was like, okay, thanks. So that's when we left, and when we got in the car, he apologized for embarrassing me. And I was like, no. I was like, the reason why I didn't say anything, because normally I would have said something. Everybody, they earned that. Everybody except Patrick. So I was like, my problem with it was Patrick needed to be acknowledged for the job he was doing. The professionalism, the respect that he had for us that we got from nobody else in that bitch. So, shout out to Patrick. And I know people don't write letters anymore, and I've never been one to write one. But I am inspired to write a letter. The reason why I ain't sending no emails is because I'm not going on a list. People love to collect personal data. I'm going to see if Mr. knows how to block that number. I need to go to the grocery store. I've been here too long. And my throat hurts. And where's my tea?